Hey everybody, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name's Oliver, and this is the American English pronunciation video. Very important to note that this is the American English pronunciation video. English depends on the country you're in, and in America, it depends on the region you're in. So, for English, if you were to go to Britain or the UK, my apologies, or if you were to go to Australia or New Zealand or somewhere else that speaks English as a native language, it might sound a bit different. And even here in the US, it depends on the region you were from. So, Boston, New York, or California might have different accents from my Midwestern accent because I live in Missouri. But I just had a few, actually just a list of things to go through and pronounce from two people. One is Kero. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But he wanted me to basically go through this list and pronounce like the difference between, cold and called, which have a little bit of a linguistic difference here in the US. And then also Salma sent me a video of, again, sorry if I messed up your name. She sent me a video of someone who's Russian who came here to the US and was pronouncing different brand names. And so in her video, the majority of what she said was correct and she pronounced them like correctly. But there were just a few that were incorrect and not that many. I mean, she did fantastic in that video. And I added in a few more because there are some that here in the US are very prominent that weren't mentioned, but you know. So I'm just gonna go through those real quick, and if I left anything out, if I missed anything, just leave it in the comments or leave it in the comments of the video or leave it in the comments of the Facebook post that I'm gonna put this on. And just let me know. Let me know what you guys thought, and if there's anything I could improve on. Maybe if I'm looking too much to the list and not enough at you guys, let me know. But yeah. Alright. So, starting with Caro's list. So there is cold, which is talking about temperature, hot versus cold. There's called, which is talking about calling someone. Or it could also be she called out his name. So that's a little bit different than cold. It's the difference versus the O sound and the A sound. Then there is seat, talking about something you can sit on, like have a seat on the chair, have a seat on the couch, something like that. Then there's sit, which is just the action, the verb to sit. Usually you talk about I sit or talk about maybe Dylan sits. But sometimes you'll use sat, which it's a little bit weird. It's in a different context. There's sit, and then there's set, which is talking about, like, you set something down, you put something on top of something else, or it could be talking about a pair of something, or this is a weird one. There's a sport called tennis. You talk about having a set in tennis. Then there's sat, which is a little bit different, usually I think it's more in past context, so it would be like James sat down next to Cheyenne, something like that. Then there's since, which is usually talking about time difference, so it's been 3 years since someone saw their father. It could also be talking about difference in a person after an event happens, so, Alexis was never the same after the accident, something like that. Alexis wasn't the same since the accident. My apologies. And then there's going into the pronouns and am or are. So there's I'm. I'm going to the grocery store, the separated version being I am. There's your, which is talking about, maybe you're renting the library books. So it's the separated version is you are, your. There's we're. So that's we are, so talking about we're buying Coca-Colas from the gas station, not sure. Then there's she's and he's, so she's is, the separated version is she is, she's building a treehouse. And then you go to he's, which is the separated version is he is, and that is, maybe he's cooking dinner. And then there's their, so that is they are. So it could be like they're taking their dog out for a walk, which you want to make sure you get the difference between they are and their. Their is spelled a little bit different. It's THEIR, and that's a possessive adjective, so talking about their dog. And then after that, we'll move on to the brand names, which, if you can keep up with me, yeah. So the first one is McDonald's. It's a restaurant popular here in the U.S. It's mainly popular because it's cheap and fast. Then there's Moleskine, which I haven't heard of before, but I believe it's a technology company from what I saw. There's T-Mobile, perfectly pronounced right on that video. There's AT&T, which she mentioned. Mercedes, she pronounced the ES at the end kind of with an is the first time, but it's perfectly fine. Then there's Chevrolet, or Chevy. We usually say Chevy here in the US. Then there's Yves. So, if you're pronouncing it the French way, it's Yves Saint Laurent, but, Americans can be pretty trashy when pronouncing international names, which is kind of ironic because with Louis Vuitton or Gucci, they would say it the same way she said it, but if you talk to an American and ask them to pronounce it, they would probably say Yves Saint Laurent. Then there's Chanel, there was Lacoste, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. Here in the US, we pronounce the shoe brand Nike. There's Adidas. That's how Americans pronounce it, Adidas. If you were to go to Germany or most of Europe, it would be Adidas. Then there's Puma, which is another shoe brand. They've kind of died off a little bit, and they haven't been producing as much as Nike or Adidas here in the US, but they are also a brand name to know. Then there's Bentley. There's Lincoln. So important to note that with Lincoln, it's like link, like linking two hands together, and then in, so it's Lincoln. There's Uber, which is a popular service here in the US. And then there's forget how she pronounced it. If you were weird to say, but speak like an American, it would probably be Hermes. There's Burberry, Levi, Jordan. Jordan is usually it's more like Air Jordans. It's a type of shoe here in the US. Then you can pronounce this one of two ways. I've heard people in America pronounce it both ways, but you can pronounce it Porsche or you can pronounce it Porsche. I was taught to pronounce it Porsche. She mentioned the weird American English pronunciation latte. And then there's BMW. There's Volkswagen. Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that with a little bit of a German hint to it. And then there's Jeep, Ford, another shoe brand, Converse. So there's just a couple different ways to pronounce different brands here in the US. If you want me to pronounce more brands, or if you want to hear different English pronunciations, again, American English pronunciations, let me know in the comments, or let me know in the comments of the Facebook post. And I will see you guys later.